Okay, we're going to try this again. I do have low battery, so I hope I don't lose this video. I just restarted and I've started to glue the inside of the cover. I also trimmed around the edges here, and then had to mess with my camera, so it lost the first part of the video. So I'll just carry on. I'm just smoothing this faux leather paper out for the inside of the cover. I kind of prefer to do like one color inside of the cover instead of more collage. That's the way a real book usually is. I mean, real books aren't usually collaged on the outside either, but still. It just makes it seem like an official book to have that kind of interior cover done like that. And it'll make the collaged edge look pretty cool, I think. So we'll give this a bend. And it wants to wrinkle a little bit when you bend it. Going to be okay though. And then where will I start? I'll start with cutting these corners off. I was saying before I got cut off that it might be nice for Burl to be able to watch a YouTube video of his book being made. He might enjoy that. He is a very knowledgeable man, the kind of man who just knows stuff. And if he doesn't know, he likes to learn. So having this book in his hand and seeing how it was made might just interest him. So if you're watching, Burl, I hope you're enjoying it. So I trim those corners so that when I fold them in, they're not all bulky. And I'm going to start with, these angled pieces. Do this one. And what I'm going to do there is just put a sacrificial page underneath so that I can glue right on the piece that I'm going to fold over without getting my table all dirty. Following the cardboard, and then this will fill that in. I'm going to re-glue this, put some glue on that little piece that's right on the edge. I should not have put that so close to the edge. There's always something that you figure out as you're working that you shouldn't have done, or that you should have done that you didn't do sometimes. A little bit of overlap there that isn't glued. You know what I meant to do is I meant to grab a wet rag, a damp rag from my fingers. I'm going to do that real quick. Probably hear my flip-flops. It's July 5th. And I'm just sitting in the house. I should be sitting out in the sun while it's cool. Dropped Hubby off at work because his car's in the shop this morning and it was only 21, which is nice temperature. kind of don't like the way that lined up. It's really nice over here. And I think I'm going to fill that in with a little piece of paper. It's already a collage, so I can get away with that really easily. Maybe just something sort of triangular. Inked. That's one nice thing about doing the collaging. You can really fix any little holes or spots very easily. That works. It's not like mitered, but it's not a gap either. See how these other edges turn out. This will be much better. I've just got an old towel that I ripped into a little smaller than a face cloth, and I use them for rags basically. Good for cleaning your fingers when you're gluing. And see, that one was a little close to the edge as well. It's having a hard time bending around with the rest of them. But it just needs a little persuasion. Maybe it might need some tacky glue. We'll see if it pops up. This piece might really need some tacky glue. We'll give them a chance to stick before we reinforce them with tacky, and then we can fix this corner too. Interesting to see how the other one turns out. We can do them both at once. Yeah, I've got to fix those corners. I can't leave that like that. Maybe a piece of brown paper bag would be good. I've got one with a straight edge here that I can use to straighten that out. And then I just need, I don't know if I want to take it over the edge. I could. It would be better maybe just to cut it, tear it right there. Now, where was that? Was it here? It'll work there anyway. Tiny little bit there, might be a problem. And this needs ink. Don't let me forget to ink. There's a little piece sticking up there. And I think this might benefit from some music paper. So I've got a little piece here that will probably be big enough. Yeah, I just gotta, maybe what I'll do is I'm gonna rip a straight edge closer to the music. Want that treble clef to stay in the picture. So I'll get that off straight so that it can be this edge. And then I just have to get rid of the excess over here, which will be right about here. And I'm just doing that with my fingers, just let's see if that little tip can stay. I think it can. Gives it some visual interest. And that's just a thumb roll one. So I'm trying to make that look like it joins up there. Happy with that. Just need that to roll in. And one last edge to do here. A couple pieces that need gluing down. They're barely overlapping. Probably fine when they're all glued down to the leather paper. I'll do the underneath one first. And then the one that was over top, but just barely over top. So these corners are good, all filled in. The 90-degree ones are usually easier to get looking right. I've got a little bit of extra paper there in the corner. Let's see if I can get it to fold in and tuck under. Little wrinkles, but I think I can work them out. So that's the cover of our little traveler's notebook, I guess you would call it. Vacation notebook. So that Earl and Diana and the boys can plan their next trip to Canada, to Ontario. Sorry if you hear me crunching. I just took a bite of cereal. I'll lay off that. Now what I want to do next is cut my pages. So I'm going to have a signature sewn in over here with the coffee dyed paper. And so I think I want to do at least 10 sheets. I think Burl will appreciate the antiqued, aged look of the coffee dyed paper. I hope he will think it's cool. Should we maybe use tea dye for him? He is a iced tea drinker, like I told in that last video. I think I told that story. I think it got caught on tape. Not on tape, but in the video about the tea bag. I'll tell it again just in case it got cut out. We've gone, usually when they come up to visit from Ohio, we stay at the cottage on Rice Lake. That was always the way that it was anyway. Sometimes now they've been in hotels, but when we go out for dinner with them, Burl would always be trying to order iced tea, but not sweetened. Because down in the southern states, below a certain point probably, I don't know what the point is, you can get cold tea, but not sweet. So they have sweet tea, which you've all probably heard the Southerners talk about sweet tea, but Burl likes his not sweet. So whenever he tries to order iced tea at a restaurant up here, it comes sweet. And he's asked them for non-sweet, and they just look at him like he has 3 heads. And it's frustrating for him. So one time we were eating, I was sitting right beside him and he was having this problem, and I said, you know, maybe you should ask just for hot tea in the pot and, you know, add your own, and then a big pitcher or tall glass full of ice. So I don't know if he did it that time or not, or if he started trying that, but so I've got, when I was going through my scraps looking for stuff for the collage, I found a tea bag that I had saved to do some collage with, and I don't even see it here now, but I was going to try to include it in this book and say, put a little notation beside it that says no tea was sweetened in the making of this journal. So I'm sorry if you've already heard that joke and didn't find it funny and you had to listen to it again, but I think it's hilarious. 5, 6. Seven. And then the other thing that I think I might have lost, I'm really sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I just had to restart the video, so now I'm not sure what you've heard and what you haven't. But the other thing is that I pulled out some French-English dictionary pages with travel words on them, and I'm going to try a technique with them. I came across this journal card base that I collaged a while ago, and I don't remember inking it. But see how that blue ink sort of accentuates what's there? I'm thinking I will do that, is ink over top of the word that I'm trying to highlight. Instead of using a highlighter, I'll use ink so that it blends in better with the colors in the book. I can't wait to try that. So there's 10 pages tucked into each other, and we'll do this trick to get them nicely seated in there. And there's not much that I need to trim off. I might have to use the decal scissors on this edge. I can probably tear top and bottom. And I think I'm just going to tear, but tear straight, because I don't really want, if the edges are going to be different, I don't want 2 different decals. You know what I'm saying? So to tear, I want as much, I want as wide a strip as possible to tear off. That's what I'm trying to get out. And I think I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch top and bottom. So that'll give me enough, I think, to tear off. It's hard to tear off a small strip. So I'll do this first. I'm just kind of eyeing it. I don't know if I should be doing that, but I am. And I'll just tear right to the seam and then just keep going. I can always clean up any little bits like this with the scissors. I just didn't want an obvious deckled edge. Gotta press down pretty hard on the ruler to not lose your edge. And the further down you go, the more pieces are in the way of it tearing cleanly. probably works better when you do the method where you use the knife. Let's get some of this bulk out of the way. It's stopping it from tearing straight now. I'll just line that back up and tear the, see, I'm in the center of the book now. Tear the other half. Because I don't want that to transfer for the rest of the pages, I'm just going to nip that off. Probably would have done better if I did 5 pages at a time instead of 10, because that's 20. A stack of 20 sheets when you have 10 pages folded in half, right? There, so just a little bit to clean up, but still it won't look like a cut edge. Just take those little pieces that are sticking off. And then you can also take an emery board and kind of just rough it up. Smooth it off, rough it up at the same time. Smooth off unevenness, but then give it a nice kind of fluffy edge. Gives it a nice time-worn look, and I'll probably ink top, bottom, and side. Just a little bit of my coffee there. Here I'm going to transfer my mark so that I can continue in the same fashion. Now see, I've created a bunch more strips for myself. I'll put those right in the drawer. I can reach them if I need them. Make sure this is lined up at the bottom. And try to press down nice and hard so that I get a good clean tear all the way across. The longer my tear stays good, the better the ones underneath it will be. It's amazing. This is just copy paper. But once it's coffee dyed, it's much more beefy. There we go. Again, just really pressing down very good. That went off a little bit on me. I'm going to trim that before I continue. I'm just going to move my ruler over just slightly, so that those paper can find the edge of the ruler. It's getting difficult. It's much easier when you're tearing to tear off the wider part. This way's more difficult. Get it good. If you're just tearing and you don't care how it ends up, you're fine, but if you want it to be nice and straight and even, it is easier to do it the other way. I'm going to nip those things off. I'm going to do the same thing as I did down at the other end. these extra scraps. I see a log cabin quilt pattern coming with those because they're all so similar in width. That'll make a good video. I did one before, but I didn't film it. So might be a good one to film. And then these are now the right height to go in there. I just have to cut off back here. I want it to be at least behind, well, that pretty much does line up with the front cover, so I can go by the front cover. And I'll just mark it down here. And I think I might use the tear ruler for this. Although this edge is turning out pretty good. I leave it in enough. And for this, I am going to measure top and bottom just to make sure that I get, because it's such a long edge, 3.5. Let's see how I had that positioned. 3.5, okay. And 3.5. So I'll hold my ruler just shy of those lines. Yeah, I think I will just do this again. I'm just going to take it slow. And I haven't allowed any papers to fold over for pockets or anything. I think what I'll do is maybe even these little Ontario travel things that I have, I might make a couple of those into pockets. And then make him some tags to stick in there, just so he realizes that they're pockets. He can use them as bookmarks. And then once he knows it's a pocket, he can use it to save a parking receipt or gas receipts or hotel receipts in, something like that is the idea. And then they can journal about the places they go, places they stop along the way, places they stop when they're here or wherever they're going. One of the things I shared on our family Facebook group yesterday was there's the Royal Ontario Museum has a quilt exhibit. And so I shared it to my cousins in the States saying, anyone need an excuse to come to Canada? And I know Burl and Diane don't need much of an excuse. They love it here. Certainly if they were to come, we would go to the ROM with them. It's quite a day trip in downtown Toronto, but we could all go as a group so that we only had to park once, and then we could work our way around the museum. It's a fascinating place to visit. They probably haven't done that before. They may have, but they probably haven't. And with it having a quilt exhibit on, it's perfect. It would be awfully nice if they would come. I know Diana would love it. Burl would find the whole museum fascinating, I'm sure. I don't know what the boys are up to. Probably all working. Okay, so just a little tiny bit to trim down at the bottom here. I did pretty good on that long edge. And then I will just rough it up a bit. And then to ink that, instead of taking my dauber to it, which I can do, that does work actually pretty evenly. What I was going to say is I can get a darker edge by taking the actual ink pad to it and putting the ink directly on the paper. and especially on the top edges that are visible. I might need to do each page. It might take a while, but this gets it done a little quicker maybe. It's a wider surface than the dauber and a little bit more of a concentration of ink. I want to do this while they're all lined up nicely. In case they get out of alignment a little bit, it's hard to get them right back in perfect again. To get them all inked evenly. Yeah, I like how that looks. Okay, and then I was thinking, what type of cord do I want to use to sew this in? I think I want it dark or reddish, one or the other. So let me see what I've got in my all over. I do have some dark brown leather or suede that might be just perfect. And I haven't done my cord reorganization. I'm sure I probably have some thin leather cord too. Brought a couple things over to try. I do need to get at that bin of cord and stuff. I found some red, but it gets fat at one end, so I would have to, it's not even. I don't think it's a great candidate, although it's a perfect color. I don't know if this will cut it well enough for me to make it even enough, and it's really thick, so no, I think that's out, Bradley. This black could work. It's thin black waxed. I don't think it's waxed. I think it's actually leather. Yeah, it's leather cord, like round leather cord. And then I've got suede cord, which is a little bit thinner. It's about the same size as this one, just square. So the dark brown would definitely work. I don't think the tan, I mean, you could do the tan, it would kind of disappear. I wouldn't mind seeing it. The spine is fairly white right now. I think I want to do the black. Now, I've changed my mind on the spot. I'm going to do the dark brown because I think it'll be easier to tie. If I'm going to use that black, I need to condition it, like as far as getting it warmed up and softened to work it a little bit easier. So what have I got going on here? How did I didn't tie this. I think it came like this. I just don't see, well, I guess that's the end. So normally I do 4 times the length. so that I have room for charms. And I think I will put charms in this. So I'm just going to go ahead and do 5 times the length because I don't really mind if I have a scrap of it. I haven't picked out any charms yet, but I'm thinking like a boat or a fish or a net. I don't think I have any net charms. I've got little car charms, which would be good for travel too. Although I think they usually travel in a van. You'll get the idea, I know. Now to do my little template to do the spine, to do the sewing, I need a piece of paper that's as long as this. I don't really want to wreck this one because I might be able to use it. So I'll see about one of these ones I just cut off, although they're awfully skinny. Because I need to cut it, fold it in half. I usually use a wider piece, but c'est la vie. And then fold it in half to find the center. I was thinking about just doing a 2-hole binding, but I think I want the center hole as well. I think this will sew in well enough, as long as I can get it through the head of my needle. I'd have to flatten the end to get it through there. And I'm going to come down 3/4 to an inch. And then open it up. And I'll mark my intersections here, because I can barely see them. So we're there, there, and there. Let's see if I can get this threaded. If not, I'll have to use some hemp or something. I'd really like to use this though. So first I'm gonna do a nice sharp point on it instead of a blunt end, and then see if I can get that through without squeezing it down too much and without it breaking as I pull it through. Yep, that's gonna work. I don't need to pull it all the way halfway down. I just need to get it like that because this isn't gonna move on me. So that's good. I'm ready for that. And then just punching the holes. So on the cover, excuse me, on the cover I want to do the outside in so that I don't get tear out. If I'm going to have tear out, it'll be here where it'll be covered. Excuse me. So I'm going to line this up right on my spine. Kind of bend it backwards. It's really important to me that I get it kind of right on that edge. So I'm going to poke my holes in my template so that I can see the spine through it. So this is going to give me a fairly big hole, which is good for the, well, the cord's not going to be going through this piece, but going to help me see the spine, that little ridge that I want to catch. So you can see it's white, right? So it's right there. Let's just go this way and it's beige. Go this way and it's beige. So that, and I can feel it too. And then down here, it's not white, it's inked over. And up here it is white, so I can see it through there. So I'm gonna clamp up here first. Got that on the white white of the spine and get this on the white of the spine. And then this one I'm going to have to definitely sneak up and look. Yeah. And I'll clamp that end too before I try to poke it through. And I can't really clamp both sides of the spine. I've got to clamp to one side so that I can bend this. And that allows me to get sort of right straight into it instead of off to the side of it. A little tricky. I can kind of feel that I'm on that ridge. Let's see how we did. Not too bad. Not dead on, but just a little bit off and about the same all the way along, so that's good. If I had one off to the side in one direction and the other off to the side in the other direction, it would look really crooked. This should be pretty good. So you can see my holes here. I'll just widen them up because I've got that cord to go through. And then I'll do the pages from the inside out, because if there's tear out here, you're not going to see it. And even if there is a little bit showing, I can ink it. So this should line up exactly. And again, I'm going to do that ruler trick. I saw this and I thought it was so cool when the person did this. A way to make sure that your pages are seated down in the crease is to take your ruler and smack it like that. And it gets way down in there instead of letting it be loosey-goosey. And that's a technical term, by the way. So, yeah. I'll do a little clamp here. I'm gonna grab another small one for the other end. So it's just important here that it's down in there. And then I'll do these holes. That's going through 10 sheets of paper, well 10 I guess, because that top hole's already drilled, punched, poked, whatever you want to call it. And it's just a firm press down. I'm not trying to pierce right through my desktop. In fact, I'm trying very hard not to. Get it all scratched up. It'll take a beating over time, as it is. Okay, that piece comes out. I probably won't save it for the next book, but it's not likely to be exactly the same. But I do have a spot here where I tuck them to keep them. I have been able to reuse them before. And then I'll just poke from the other side here too. We didn't get a lot of tear out. I find when I use the pad, I don't get a lot of tear out. It's when you just try to do it freehand that sometimes you get tear out. And that is a trick that I learned from woodworking. Drilling handles in cabinet doors. We clamp a piece of wood on the back side of the door so that when the drill bit goes through, it doesn't tear out the wood and make a bunch of splinters. Excuse me. I got a bit of a frog in my throat. Okay. I haven't added any specialty pages in, and I don't think I will. I think I'll just decorate it up with pockets and tucks and different things. I definitely want to give them some pockets to play with. So we'll go from the center out and right out through the center hole of the cover. I'm just thinking, wondering if I would rather have this knot on the outside of the book this time. I usually have it on the inside of the book. I think I'm going to do it the opposite of what I normally do and go from the outside in. Quite often I have it clamped for this procedure too, but I have found that I can do it without clamping it. So I just need to get it pulled through, but not all the way through. I want to leave certainly enough to tie, but I'm going to leave a fair bit here, almost 15 inches or so. It's definitely more than a foot there. And then I'm going to go out one of the end holes. It does not matter which one. You can go either end. And then out through the cover. And then on the inside, you want to pull that fairly snug. And maybe you want to get the twist out of it. If it has a twist in it, this is a square cord, so you notice the twist. There. And then all the way to the other end and go back in. I'm just going to try to untwist this as I go. Find the hole. Where'd you go, hole? There you are. Kind of disappears on the coffee dye. Okay, and then I'm going to just try to get that twist out. It's still twisted on me, even though I tried to straighten it before I pulled it through. I don't really want it twisted. There we go. Nice straight piece there. And then I'm going to come out of the center hole again. Same hole. Come up on the other side of the string, the cord in this case. And I didn't quite get in the same hole there, or made the hole bigger, which is fine. It needs more space. And that's twisted too. So we'll try to untwist it. I'm just twisting this cord, what I hope is the opposite way, to try to untwist it. I know you can't see that, but I need to see both. There, so that's nice and straight and clean looking in there. And then on the outside, I've got it nice and straight, and it looks nice and straight, which makes me happy. And so these ends are super long. But what I'm thinking is that if I leave them long with a charm on the end, he can use it like a bookmark, and they can hang out the bottom or top of the book. So I'm going to tie a nice knot. Just pulled through. I think I might have just pulled through the hole. I must have had like two holes really close together there in the middle. So it's now one big oblong hole, which hopefully it won't make it loosen. Tie that around the center string. And I want to be firm, but I don't want to break my leather cord. It's pretty tough, but it could break on me. I'm aware that it could break on me. And I'm not going to do a bow. If it was for a woman, I'd probably do a bow. But I'm going to leave these long. For now, I'm just going to leave them really long. They might get shortened later. Okay, so there's my book. I'll work it in just a little bit. It's got a nice firmness to the cover. It's hard to believe it was just a cereal or a cracker box. And that closes nicely because I gave myself some width here. It doesn't, well, it still wants to pop up, so I'm going to have to do something about that. And I do have a plan for that. My plan for that was either a couple of buttons or some paper discs with a brad in it on each side of the flap, and then a string. I think it'll be different string. There's gonna be a lot of string here. The other thing I could do is either a tuck, something that it tucks under. That could be a plan. Maybe a piece of hardware or something that it tucks under. Maybe even a key, like the cottage key or something like that with a tassel. That might be something I should look at. I can go look at my keys. So anyway, that's the cover finished and the pages bound in. And I am absolutely loving how this is turning out. I'm not sure that it's 100% square. I can manipulate it a little bit still, but I really am very happy with how that's turning out. So we're at 50 minutes, so I'm going to stop again, and when I come back, we will figure out the, either figure out the closure or decorate pages or both. I'm not sure yet, but thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, but most of all, have a great day.